Hey everyone, this is Aaron Fink from Grapple City Rewind. If you like what you hear on this episode, give us a follow, leave a review, cut a promo on us. Anything goes. It'll go a long way in helping us to be discovered by more wrestling fans like you. Alrighty, let's cue that music.
Hello and welcome to Grapple City Rewind, taking you all the way back to the iconic pay-per-views and television specials that shaped wrestling history. This week we're rewinding to November 1989 when WCW lights up TBS with a night of chaotic, blood-soaked fights and mullets and Coors Light wrapped ring posts and Santa Claus cameos, and Clash of the Champions 9 is everything crazy that we love about 80s wrestling. We got Flair versus Funk and an I Quit match. It's all out war, but we'll talk about that later. I'm Bradley Palermo here as always with Aaron Fink. And Aaron, before we get into all the fun of Clash of the Champions 9, we have found ourselves in pro wrestling's biggest week of the year. It's WrestleMania week. So should we run through the card and see if we've got some predictions?
Absolutely. I love it. Let's do it.
As always, you can look us up on Instagram at Grapple City Pod, or call our promo line to leave your thoughts on our show at 626-657-SLAM. So WrestleMania 41 is coming up this weekend, the 19th and the 20th of April?
Mm-hmm.
And it is at the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. Night one, let's see, we got the United States Championship, LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. What do you think on that one?
Could go either way. I'm going to say Jacob Fatu gets the win.
Yeah, I feel
just because I think he needs it a little more than LA Knight does.
Yeah,
not that either of them need it, but I just think it would be more interesting if LA Knight lost.
And how cool would that be for Jacob Fatu to go from, not even a year ago, bouncing around GCW and then holding gold in WWE. I feel like LA Knight, very popular guy. He can maybe move on to more of a World Heavyweight Championship type of situation. So. Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go Fatu on that one, too. Tag team match, War Raiders versus the New Day. Who gives a shit is what I would say on this one.
Well, it's for the championship.
Okay.
I think this one, I'm going to continue on with the heels winning. I'm going to say New Day. I think the New Day is doing really well as heels, and they're getting a lot of heat.
Yeah.
But this, I definitely think, would send it over the edge. But I don't know. That's my guess. Is New Day.
I guess I didn't even know the War Raiders
were
champions, and I just know that they're not as Viking-like now. They're more hairy guys or whatever.
Normal dudes. Yeah. Well, they're more like what they were like in NXT,
right?
Around 2016, 2017.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed them when they were in NXT. They haven't had the same level of excitement. I don't think. To be honest, the whole tag team division in WWE on both shows has been a little lackluster.
Yeah.
Not for lack of trying. They brought in the Motor City Machine Guns, and they've got Penta and Rey Fenix there now. And I assume at some point we'll see the Lucha Brothers tag teaming. So they're starting to align some pieces and stuff. But yeah, I don't really care about this match.
This one I'm kind of excited about for some reason. Singles match with Rey Mysterio and El Grande Americano. What do you think about that?
I think, again, I'm going to say heels win El Grande Americano, but this should be the moment where it's revealed that El Grande Americano is Chad Gable. We'll see. We'll see if that happens.
So I've seen some people saying, last episode we talked about the other time that WrestleMania, the only other time WrestleMania was in Las Vegas back in 19-something.
1993.
The 1900s. And they had the double doink. And I feel like with Chad Gable, El Grande Americano, the mask, we could have a double, we could have a throwback. We could have a callback to sort of the double doink mirroring himself. We could have Grande Americano winning by having another Americano come out,
maybe,
or we could have El Generico come out. And
oh my god,
Sami Zayn's not on this bill, so where the fuck is he? I hope he comes out. Maybe he can save. I just kind of want to see what happens. But yes, I'm going with Chad Gable, aka El Grande Americano. I assume that's who it is. on that one. WWE Women's Championship, Tiffy Time versus Charlotte. I think they always give the belt to Charlotte. So I think if she's there to take that back, right?
If you think about it from a business perspective and you try to not just be a fan for a second,
yeah,
what other reason would there be for Charlotte to come back and face Tiffany? If Tiffany just beats her at WrestleMania, there's like nothing for Tiffany to do. So
right.
I think Charlotte needs to beat her. Charlotte wins, new WWE Women's Champion, and then that gives Tiffany something to chase. Maybe they have their rematch at SummerSlam in a few months or something.
Yeah, as we've predicted so far, that would be
4 heels. Yeah.
Night 1. They got 3 title changes in the first hour of WrestleMania, which could be kind of interesting, you know?
It could be.
Jade Cargill versus Naomi. I guess Cargill's...
I don't know about this one. Probably Cargill, yeah.
She's a big star, and
they're trying to build her up.
Naomi's kind of like a sidekick, right? A little bit.
Well, this is an opportunity for her to be a little bit more in the spotlight as her own person. I mean, when she was in TNA for the last couple of years, wrestling as Trinity, I thought she did excellent work.
Yeah.
She hasn't necessarily had as much of an opportunity at WWE to do that same kind of stuff, but I think this is in an effort to get us to that place, you know, to get her to that place.
She was attached to Banks for a while. She's been attached to Belair, but yeah, I'm going to say Cargill on this one. Gunther versus Uso. Jey has to win.
Yep, he has to.
All this hype, all this yeeting.
He will.
Yeah.
He will.
Triple threat match, Roman versus Punk versus Seth Rollins for the main event that night, which is weird that the guy who won the Royal Rumble isn't the main event. It's stolen.
It is weird. It's not... sort of, you know. I will give a shout out to Busted Open because they've talked about this past week. It's not most of the time we hear, oh, if you win the Royal Rumble, you get to main event WrestleMania, or they phrase it as they get their choice of champion to face at WrestleMania. So they always kind of go this way, that way with it. They did very clearly say that that Jey Uso, by winning the Royal Rumble, was going to main event WrestleMania, and they did walk that back.
Yeah.
So that is annoying, but there have been times where the winner of the Royal Rumble isn't necessarily automatically in the main event of WrestleMania. Right. They have precedents for that. It's just, that's what we normally associate with it because it has happened that way.
Right. And in this case, you got the guy who's called main event, Jey Uso, who's been confirmed as main eventing WrestleMania. And then, but I mean, I've also seen them say it's a double main event tonight, folks. Like, they can say whatever they want, you know. That's why it's called creative. I guess you can use your creativity to make that make sense. But the triple threat match with Reigns, Punk, and Rollins, and it's kind of like, it's almost like you don't win a belt, you win Heyman, sort of. As if you get this. So
I don't know
who gets Heyman. I'm gonna go with. Punk.
Yeah, it's like, who do I want to win versus who is actually gonna win? Because who I want to win is Punk, obviously.
Yeah.
But who's actually gonna win? I don't think it's Rollins. I think we can agree that it's not Rollins. And that's, again, not taking anything away from Seth. But I think it's Punk. I think it's gotta be Punk. And it's probably gonna be a result of Heyman doing something.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's a big thing or a little thing, I think Heyman will be involved in the finish in some way.
I feel like in triple threat matches, it's usually not the guy who scored his finisher that wins, right? It's like the sneaky bastard that capitalizes on what someone else managed to pull off. And there's no DQ, so there's a lot of room to do some funny business. But I'm going to go with you on that. CM Punk, thanks to Heyman.
And that's night 1.
And then on night 2, this is what this is what I found online. I don't know if these matches are actually correct on what's night 1 and what's night 2.
I think they are. They announced them on SmackDown, so I don't know about the order that we have, but I think these are the matches that are supposed to be on each night.
Yeah, I mean, I literally just put this order in. I tried to put the bigger matches towards the end, so I would talk about them later. So yeah, I can't guarantee the order for sure. Well, it's accurate enough. So night 2, Sunday, April 20th, we have the Intercontinental Championship with Braun Breaker versus Penta versus Finn Balor versus Dominik Mysterio. I don't know. That's too many dudes in one match. I don't really give a shit on this either.
It's a little, it didn't need to be a fatal 4-way, but there were it didn't need to be this way, but there were certainly story threads for each of these people that kind of wove in and out. And so it makes sense that the 4 of them are having a match. My prediction for this is Dominik Mysterio. And I got this from somebody online, so it's not entirely me. I heard the rationale and I agreed with it. Who out of the 4 needs this win the most? I feel like it's Dom, because Braun Breaker is going to be huge no matter what.
Right.
And doesn't need the Intercontinental Championship. He could even go after Jey for the World Heavyweight Championship once Jey wins at WrestleMania.
Right.
Penta, he's so over. He doesn't need it either. Finn, he's been there, done that. I feel like this is the time for Dom, because again, how much heat would he get if he won?
He had a lot of heat with that, with just carrying around that NXT United, whatever the hell, North American champion. That was like just obnoxious to see him with that. So it would be good. Penta's probably going to have tag team gold once his brothers teams up with him. Yeah, I like that idea. But it's like the last person I just kind of dismiss it when it says Dominik, I'm like, fucking Dominik.
Yeah. But you have to give Dominik credit. I think him turning heel whenever that was, I think it was maybe Clash at the Castle a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That was the smartest thing they could have done with him, because before that he was just Ray's kid, and now he's his own guy, and he's gets more heat than just about anybody. I mean, and he's good in the ring.
The first time I saw him, what is that, SummerSlam at Allegiant Stadium, like, I don't know, 2021 or 2022 or something, and he was teaming with his dad, and I was just like, fuck this kid. Like, as a babyface, you're just like, this your little weird little prepubescent son in there, like, there's like nothing to it. And now he's such a badass. At being an obnoxious heel. I saw him at a house show versus Punk. That was kind of fun too.
Oh yeah. We were there at that show together. Yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah.
December 30th, that show, 2023.
Yeah, that was a good one. WWE Women's Tag Team Championship, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Bayley and Lyra. How do you say it?
Valkyria?
Yeah, I don't know. Some of these, man, I guess it's the build. A lot of these I don't really have strong feelings about, I guess. Can't change the belt every time. I'll keep it on Raquel and Liv.
I agree. Yeah. Again, if you've been watching SmackDown, they've done a little bit of setup for this, not a ton, but they did have a gauntlet match this past Friday that saw Bayley and Lyra as a tag team, and they beat 4 or 5 other tag teams to get this opportunity after having a match against each other, Bayley and Lyra, on Raw this past week on Monday for Lyra's Women's Intercontinental Championship. So there's there's a little bit, but it's one of those ones where they didn't have as much time to devote to it as some of the bigger matches. But I agree. I think heel champions retain.
Singles match, AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. Like, Logan Paul's kind of getting cold a little bit. Like him coming in as like the big social media guy with all like the stunts with his phone out and stuff. Like, I think they need to bring him back, give him a big win, get us pissed off again.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's pretty clear he's going to beat AJ, which sucks because I love AJ and I don't want AJ to lose. But AJ is on his way out, and it's the right thing to do for business.
Women's World Championship, IYO SKY champion versus Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley. I wish the champion wasn't in this match. I wish this was Bianca versus Rhea Ripley. Those are like the two that I'd really like to see. So I hope IYO retains. I think she will, but I hope Bianca and Rhea fucking each other over in that match
is the reason why. Yeah,
ignites something where we see those two. And nothing against IYO. It's just Bianca and Rhea are the ones that I think they both have some of my favorite matches, and I want to see them do a big one.
I agree. I want IYO to win. But I want Io to win because I don't want her to drop the belt. I think Io deserves time with the belt. And I agree with what you said that if Io does win, it should be because Rhea or Bianca could not get over one another, and that was their downfall.
Yeah.
Um,
So hopefully that's the way they plan it out. Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre, Sin City Street Fight. What are they going to beat each other with slot machines or something?
They're a little heavy.
I don't know what kind of shit you can throw into the ring. That poker chips.
Yeah, I don't know. That'll be a whatever. I like them both. I don't know.
I think Drew, because at least
Drew kind of needs it less. Like it would be more useful if Priest won. This doesn't feel like a culmination. It feels like the start of something. So yeah.
I feel like
Drew.
Damian Priest. That time that he had the belt and he like forgot to kick out and they went all the way to 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. He just cannot be trusted after that. I feel like, okay, you can wrestle, but you have to do the job every time. If I'm booking it,
I'd feel bad, but maybe, who knows?
Undisputed WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. I have to say that I like John Cena more than I ever have before.
Nice.
As an asshole, as a heel. And
I'm proud of you. You've grown.
I think that John Cena has made some cutting points about Cody Rhodes that he's actually changed my feeling about Cody. I'm like, this guy is kind of a poser, sort of a wannabe with an unclear gimmick who wishes he was something more than just a Nepo baby combination. Like he wishes he could be someone that came up and just made his own thing. He does have the world's worst tattoo right on his neck. It's like a Transformers type of thing or something. And he's like dresses like a nutcracker and he's all in red, white, and blue. Like, are you like Mr. America? Like, I was like, wait a second. I was crying for Cody's win last time. And now I'm kind of like, Cena's on to something. This guy's a fucking loser. I hope he gets squashed by Cena and Cena runs off with that belt. And I think he's going to win. I think Cena's going to win.
I do also think Cena is going to win. It would certainly be more interesting if he won. Again, what do you do with Cena if he loses? He's got another 6 months.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense. I feel like Cody is going to lose. Cena's going to win. It's most likely going to be from some shenanigans.
Right.
Whether it's The Rock or somebody aligning themselves with Rock and Cody that we didn't know was previously aligned or something like that. I mean, that's what makes the most sense to me. If Cody won, it's just like if Cody wins, then what? What do you do with Cody? What do you do with John?
And Cody, I mean, Cody will be more interesting when he loses the belt. It's like he's had it it's like, I think we've talked about this before, at least maybe not on the air, but championship runs just aren't quite as exciting. It's more fun sometimes to watch the babyface chase. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this Mania, I know we're going a long time talking about this, but it's fucking WrestleMania week, so it's worth it. But I think this Mania is setting up a lot for the year. I know WWE's been pretty hot this year, and they've already kind of given us a lot on Netflix. A lot of feuds have already kind of paid off. The Bloodline thing was sort of wrapped up early in the year, and the Seth and CM Punk feud has played out on TV a bunch already. So I think this Mania has an opportunity to like sort of kickstart a whole nother year of crazy feuds, but maybe like the build itself isn't like the culmination. I don't think it's going to be a culmination of a lot of things I've been waiting to see boil over. I think it's kind of the start of a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I agree. This, I think a lot of people have been saying that the build this year, it's not bad, but it's just if you compare it to the year before, it's nowhere close. But that was because we had so much story built into it with Cody.
Yeah.
And WrestleMania 39 with his match against Roman Reigns.
Yeah, so it was like a 2-year build.
Yeah. And so obviously when you compare a 2-year build to a 1-year build or even like a 6-month build, it's not going to be the same.
Right.
I'm still excited. I still think it's going to be fun. WWE premium live events do not disappoint for the most part in the Triple H era. So I'm excited.
All right, let's get into the rewind. The event is not a pay-per-view. It's a television special
Yeah, sorry. We're infringing on our own gimmick. That's my bad.
No, I like it. No, I like it. I think we can do that. All right, so it's Clash of the Champions 9, New York Knockout, November 15th, 1989, at the Houston Fieldhouse in Troy, New York, with Jim Ross and Gordon Solie on the commentary team. We have a small auditorium, smoky hot lights, Coors Light ads wrapped around the ring posts, no logos on the ring apron, real bare bones setup. It opens with cheesy 80s music and
Yep.
those world title belts that looked particularly great during this era. So it's
Mhm.
showing that, especially the world television title and the tag titles back then, they look nice. So
They do.
we're breaking it open with promos right off the bat. We got Terry Funk and Ric Flair cutting promos. Terry's like, I don't want your belt, your family, your money. I want your pride. And Ric Flair's putting over, pride, faith, guts, legacy, dynasty, because they're going to be in a I Quit match tonight, which will finally put their feud to rest once and for all.
Yeah, this was fun. Like you said, technically this is not a pay-per-view. It was broadcast on TBS at the time. But I do want to say that these Clash of the Champions in general felt more than just a regular TV show. There was usually a pretty big story progression moment or like some event during these Clash of the Champions televised specials that propelled things forward to the next pay-per-view. I also noticed the 80s music. It was the perfect amount of cheese.
Yes.
Big fan. And after those promos, we started off with the first match of the evening, which was the fabulous Freebirds, Michael Hayes and Jimmy Garvin against the Road Warriors with Paul Ellering in their corner. Got a Freebirds suck chant right at the beginning, which I enjoyed. And man, the Road Warriors sure are over, or as I wrote, OVA. OVAH. My God, those guys, they always talk about the Road Warrior pop. If you're a fan of wrestling, it's just that the Road Warriors, no matter where they were, they probably sold out the building they were performing at and got the loudest reaction of any crowd that they were ever a part of. So we saw that here. This was fun, lots of quick tags, the classic tag team strategy as mentioned by Jim Ross. It was a little short for my liking, to be honest. The Freebirds had control of the match for a few minutes, and then Hawk just finally got pissed off, ran into the ring, threw the referee out of the way because he wanted to attack the Freebirds, and so the Freebirds win by disqualification. But, anytime the Road Warriors do anything, the crowd's just going crazy for them.
Did you notice the Freebirds were introduced as tag champions, even though they were not the tag champions at the time?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I don't believe they had the belts, but they were introduced to the champions. At this time, the Steiner brothers were the tag champions, but because the tape hadn't aired on TBS yet, they had to pretend like the Freebirds were. So I guess back then when everything was on tapes and everything, you
just had to figure out how to get the info out in the right order.
Right. We switched the belts, but this is So I thought that was kind of fun. Also, the Freebirds are from Bad Street, Georgia. I was curious where that was. It turns out it's not a real place, but
you don't say.
Yeah. LOD got DQ'd on this, right? For tossing the referee?
Yeah. Okay. Hawk came in and just threw the ref out of the way. He was in the ring, he just threw him to the corner and then started attacking the Freebirds, and then DQ.
Yeah.
Kind of a strange finish to an opening match. When I play my GM mode on WWE 2K25, they're always like, your opening match needs to be hot and get the crowd going. And I was like, yeah, okay. I mean, this got the crowd going, but then all you remember is the finish, right? And the finish was like,
yeah.
So I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, a little quick 5-minute thing. But so we have some awards after this match, which is, I think it's super goofy, but the most popular wrestler, I guess, as determined by the fans, what they called like a 900 number or something.
Yeah, the most popular NWA wrestler as voted by the fans was the first award.
And during this entire thing, they keep pushing this 900 number, which had me thinking about back in the 80s and 90s. That was such a big deal. It didn't matter what you were doing. you always wanted to push a 900 number on people. And Jim Ross is like, call the 900 number. You can hear me announcing at the table right now. And it's like, dude, I'm fucking listening to you already. Why am I paying like $1 a minute to call?
There's no way it was $1 a minute. You know it was more than that.
And all I remember, like when I was a kid, is your parents were always like, never call that number, because apparently if you call a 900 number, it just goes on your phone bill and it's expensive as fuck. And then they have remembering like, after like 10 p.m. you're watching like USA or whatever. It's always like these porno ads where it's like a guy like in a room and he's
it's like have phone sex. It's not porn. It's like phone sex ads. Yeah.
And there was this some of that songs like it's stuck in my head. Like this one is stuck in my head for like 30 years. Like, you don't have to be alone tonight. Just call me. Pick up the phone. You can have a real good time. Just call me. Pick up the phone. So I had to find that clip, And I am a singer. That's a bad vocal I just did. I could sing better than that if I warmed up a little bit. But,
you sound a little pitchy.
Yeah, a little pitchy. But who the fuck calls those numbers? Because you just know, like, it goes on your family's phone bill. Like, little Johnny calls them.
Incel pervs, that's who called them. Johnny Ace probably called those 900 numbers.
Little Johnny Ace calling the 900 number. The whole family sees like, whoa, it's $760 for, whatever entertainment.
Yeah, I never ever called one of those. I just remember this. Yeah, it was like it was like a cautionary tale. Like, don't ever dial a 1-900 number because it's like $5 a minute.
You're fucked. It was just scary. Like they parents knew to scare the shit out of you from ever calling that stuff, and you definitely never would. And I don't even remember wanting to for wrestling and stuff. Like what am I gonna like if Lex Luger wins tonight? He will be on the 1-900 number. It's like, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna say the same shit?
Hello, Mr. Total Package. Why'd you hit Brian Pillman with a chair, sir?
Yeah, and it's a recording. I mean, he ain't gonna fucking talk to every little turd that fucking calls that number for $5. So I don't know. That's every time I mention 626-657 slam now, you're gonna have to hear. Pick up the phone. And that's why.
Yep. Okay, I'm down.
Yes, and the most popular wrestler, it goes to Sting, and he's given a trophy and gives kind of a uninteresting speech. And then they have to announce the wrestler of the decade.
PWI's wrestler of the decade, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, still in existence today, as highly coveted back then as it is now.
God, yeah. So Ric Flair, he also gets a trophy. So we'll see what happens to those trophies before the night's over, but they both got one.
They did.
And then we go on to Doom, which is Butch Reed and Ron Simmons versus Tommy Rich and Eddie Gilbert.
Yes, don't forget about Woman's pre-recorded promo, though, about how Doom is going to ruin the wrestling world. It was not the best as far as promos go, but the thing that made me laugh the most was after that promo, they came back to the arena and Gordon Solie says, "Well, I tell you, Jim, she's an evil person, but she sure is pretty."
and Woman's promo, I mean, she's like sitting there in like this, I guess she's wearing just like a black bra and she's sitting on like some tacky,
hotel couch or something.
And she almost looks like one of the girls from like those 900 numbers back then when they pick up the phone. She kind of has that vibe about her. And she's like, and she's saying weird shit like, Rick Steiner, I got something big and hard for you. I'm like, what does she have for Rick Steiner? Like, she comes out, it looks like, I guess Doom it's them coming out, but it looks like it's Woman, like this character called Woman.
Yeah.
She's coming out, she's got like guys all around her and stuff. She's coming out to the ring like she's gonna fight, and then these two guys in masks. I guess Ron Simmons and Butch Reed. They're the wrestlers. I thought Woman was about to come out, and why is she talking about the Steiner brothers if they're about to go after Tommy Rich and Eddie Gilbert? I don't know. I was getting real confused at the beginning. Like, what the fuck is all this? But
I think there was a pay-per-view. I'm pretty sure this was after 1989's Halloween Havoc, and I feel like there was some stuff that went down, and a lot of these things were a result of that.
I see.
Yeah. That was actually the first Halloween Havoc ever, by the way.
Oh,
1989.
yeah.
But yeah, this match, this was Doom's second appearance in WCW, which I did not know. And the first one was at Halloween Havoc, because I think there was something going on with the Steiners and Woman at Halloween Havoc, and then she brought out Doom and they attacked him.
I wrote down that Tommy Rich had he had like a real like Dumb and Dumber style mullet. It was like blonde, but it had like the total like, you know, weird
bowl cut
mullet. So
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
And he's the one that like, I think he was like 30 years old, but he looked
so much older. Yeah,
like really old. Like I was like, why did they let the 70-year-old in this match?
Yeah, he looked like the grizzled vet. I think it was just a combination of his outfit and like the shape that his body was in at that moment.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't like fat, but he was just real baggy, you know, like skin just sagging everywhere, real pale. I mean, the guy like fucking looked terrible, but Doom wins quickly, you know, no real surprises here. They're the dominant force, and that worked out for Doom.
Yep, and after that match, we had a brief little backstage interview with Lex Luger talking about defending the U.S. title. We also had Cornette interviewing the Steiners. This was out on stage. What did Cornette call this? Louisville Slugger, I think, is the name of this talk show, quote unquote. And the Steiner brothers, first of all, they both just come across like they're dumb as a pile of bricks.
Yeah,
that's number one.
They're kind of playing like the dumb jock gimmick, which I like.
Yeah, and then Rick, the father of Braun Breaker, for those who are current fans, he acts like he's like this. He rides the slow bus. Like he's on the special bus.
Yeah.
Like, well, you know, she said this, and then I said that. And it made me laugh. I just wrote LOL to this whole entire interview.
But this is an important interview because this is the first time that their move was named publicly.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Jim Cornette does ask Scott Steiner about his now famous Frankensteiner move, and yeah, Rick's explanation of how he came up with that, how they came up with that name was pretty funny. It's weird because they're great wrestlers, they're great in the ring, but the characters that they have in WCW just leave a lot to be desired, and I wonder if that's why they eventually jumped ship. But then I think about who they were in WWF, and they weren't all that different.
And you fucking slap Hulk Hogan ass
in WWF.
Yeah, it's weird because they're great. They're great to see, but like, god damn, I mean, we've seen them now. What is this, like our 6th episode, 5th if you don't count the bonus one? So like 5 pay-per-views in. I mean, we've seen them more.
4 out of 5.
I was going to say we have to see them more than anyone else so far, and they're always like kind of the mid card, and they carry it, and they're cool and all. But I'm like, holy fuck, it's a lot of Steiners, and this this television special has got a lot of tag team matches on it too. So I'm just kind of like, oh Lord.
And of course, after the Steiners finish their interview with Cornette, we don't get the Steiners match.
No.
We get the Midnight Express, Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane version with Jim Cornette in their corner against our favorite tag team, the Dynamic Dudes, Shane Douglas and John piece of shit Laurinaitis. There was some interesting interplay with Cornette in this match, where he was sitting in the neutral corner, like he was not on the Midnight Express's side, like normal. I guess maybe he had some kind of issues with them in previous episodes, or maybe in Halloween Havoc, but this was a high-flying, fast-paced match. And one thing that I noticed is that the pacing of this match felt so much more quick than a lot of matches in current day. And it's not so much like, I don't mean in terms of frequency of moves, right? Because nowadays matches tend to have a lot more moves put together. I think it's more about how quickly like pivotal moments in the match happen, and how the production and the commentators don't necessarily call as much attention to it. So, for example, in this match, it was fairly even for most of it, but then there was this moment where one of the members of the Midnight Express had one of the dynamic dudes. They were sort of grappling and they were up against the ropes, and the referee had been distracted by Cornette, so he was not looking at them. And then one of the other members of the Midnight Express, smacked that dynamic dudes guy over the head, and while the ref wasn't looking. And that happened so quickly that, like, if you weren't paying super close attention as a viewer, you would have missed it. And that one thing, like, turned the entire tide of the match. And, ultimately the Midnight Express get the win in this match because of some interference from Jim Cornette. But that moment really stood out to me as being sort of like a blink and you'll miss it kind of moment.
Yeah.
And it's probably a result of the fact that, like, production nowadays, video production has advanced quite a bit, but that kind of moment in current day wrestling gets a lot more attention, so that, like, you as the audience member cannot miss it. And I think part of that is obviously production, but part of that is the wrestlers, like, slowing down and making more of a moment out of these types of things.
Yeah.
So that was something that stood out to me. And I was like, wow, this was a fun match. But, like, if you're not paying full attention the whole time, like, you could miss something like that.
Yeah. It seemed like there was a lot of chain moves, like headlocks, hip tosses, everything kind of like flipped into the next thing.
Tons of tagging.
Yeah.
Fun match.
It's kind of good when I don't really think about it. Yeah. Like, as far as the goofy stuff goes in this match, I feel like with the dynamic dudes, they both had skateboards coming down the ramp. But, like, I forget which one. One of them was clearly afraid to get on that thing because the one dude is on the skateboard. The other guy's like, look at me, I'm holding a skateboard, which is kind of...
I think it was Shane Douglas not on the skateboard. Okay. Johnny Ace was on the skateboard.
Yeah. So, and the Midnight Express had... I like their pink and blue robes with the sparklies, and it's very 80s.
Love their music.
Yeah.
Midnight Express music is awesome. Yeah. Fun match.
Okay, so then we get into the Super Destroyer versus Dr. Death, Steve Williams. Super Destroyer is kind of a lump of a lucha guy, no entrance music. He's in there. He's for all intents and purposes there just to be a jobber. And then Dr. Death, Steve Williams, the barrel-chested, dark mullet bearded guy, comes out for a quick squash match. But not before Santa Claus makes a weird cameo. I don't think he did anything. Yeah,
what was that about?
Who was that? I know I've seen that guy's face. It was a wrestler. I've seen that guy's face.
I think he might have been Steve Williams' tag team partner, but I don't remember what tag team that was.
Yeah, so that whole thing, I mean, that was 1 minute and 41 seconds.
Yeah, it was a little squasher. But I wrote down Dr. Death is a strong dude.
and this whole thing did feel like a pay-per-view, but, like, there's some things that reminded me of TV that reminds you that it's TV, like having a squash match. They do go to commercial breaks, but at least they do it in between the matches. They don't do it, like, right in the middle like they would on like modern stuff. But
yeah, just kind of a nice little fast squash. I don't really know what the point of it was other than to get Steve Williams over, but it kind of seemed like he already was.
Right.
And then we had our next match, which was the Skyscrapers versus the Steiner brothers. Skyscrapers was Sid Vicious and Dan Spivey, our favorite softball enthusiast, Sid Vicious. And this was another one, short, about 6 minutes, but the Steiners are big time, man. Like, despite what we think, looking back on everything in hindsight about how they were used, what their characters are like, they were over. The crowd loved the Steiner brothers. So, this was an exciting match.
We got the Peanut Head chants.
We did get the Peanut Head chants because the Skyscrapers were accompanied by their manager, Teddy Long, who you might remember from our second episode. With his peanut-shaped head and his triple crown made of plastic. After about 6 minutes, the Steiner brothers win via disqualification because Doom runs into the ring per the request of woman and attacks the Steiners. But then it's more and more people. I think the Road Warriors come out after Doom.
Yeah.
We get another Road Warriors pop. Like, I'm watching all the craziness where the Steiners are getting their asses kicked, and then the crowd just starts erupting, and you're like, "What's going on?" And then, there's the Road Warriors.
It was a full tag team orgy situation. You had about every tag team guy from this tag team pack show in the ring at the same time. You have Hawk and Animal coming out doing like an unintelligible promo, just fucking screaming random shit in the mic. So
cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yeah. That was
fun match, and like lots of chaos.
Then we set up the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship. Lex Luger, who's the champion, versus Flying Brian Pillman. Quick entrance for Pillman. Luger's got the big pyro, the big country music looking robe. It looks like something out of like a 90s country music video. It's got the leather and the sequences.
Yeah. He's the total package here in WCW, not the narcissist like in the thing in WrestleMania 9 that we watched last episode.
Yeah, and he's a lot bigger than Pillman, but Luger's he's not quite the wrestler that Pillman is, so it's a good matchup. Luger uses more of the power moves. Pillman's got the speed and the agility.
Yeah, I felt like it was another solid match from Luger. We again, because of the time period, we're seeing a lot of Lex Luger. I don't know why, but I used to not think very highly of Lex Luger. I think maybe it was when it was certainly when I was younger. Maybe when he was in WCW, part of the NWO, he wasn't really wrestling as much. Luger's heyday was more late 80s, early 90s. I'm not sure why I thought that, but I feel like I was wrong watching the amount of Lex Luger matches that we have. He's not a Bryan Danielson or whatever, but like he knows how to use his size. He knows how to get heat. He's not incompetent. Like his stuff looks real. He makes mistakes, but everyone does. Like it was a pretty good back and forth match. The crowd certainly was engaged in this one.
Yeah, for sure. There's a ref bump. There's multiple pins without the ref.
Yep.
Basically, Pillman's getting the pins, right?
Yeah. So the ref gets knocked out, and Pillman, if the ref was not knocked out, Pillman probably would have pinned Luger 2 separate times.
Right.
And after that happened, Luger gets super pissed. He goes out to the outside, grabs a chair, which are not the chairs that you're used to from the mid to late 90s and onward. This chair was like big and bulky.
Big ass, yeah.
And he hits Pillman in the head with it. And the ref is still unconscious, but then miraculously starts to stir once that has happened, and Luger gets the win. After the match, Luger is still mad that even though he won, he got pinned twice, and he grabs the chair again. He hits Pillman twice with it, like in the back, and then torture racks him. And then we get more. This is like the Clash of the Champions 9, all the run-ins is what they should have called it. Because once Luger is torture racking Pillman, Sting comes down to the ring to save Pillman. He confronts Lex Luger, who runs like a heel should. And Sting manages to chase after him, get a good punch, but Luger retreats again. And fun match. A little bit longer. It was like a 12-minute match.
Yeah, and then we get into Ric Flair versus Terry Funk for the I Quit match.
Yeah, this was a fun one. We did get a pre-tape from Ric Flair talking about, to be the man, you got to beat the man, and he's going to make Terry Funk say, I quit.
Flair's obviously the babyface in this, and he's coming out in the bedazzled baby blue robe, and Funk's is the heel in all black and the cowboy look. And the way that they've kind of like split it up with the two of them is that, Flair cares all about the money and the girls, and he flies first class, but Funk, he flies coach, and he drives a pickup truck, and
it's a man of the people.
Yeah, but he's supposed to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
But he's more relatable, I guess, than Flair. Like the way that Funk was kind of putting it in his promos, I was like, all right, well, Funk seems like the relatable dude, but
Flair was the guy, though.
Yeah, Flair was the man, and Gary Hart was with Funk. That creep that we've talked about before. He's got all the just a fucking gnarly, scary looking dude.
Yeah, he's big, big and bald.
Yeah, added to the heat. Funk's shit. But this is a great match. I mean, like hard hitting, legit feeling. Everything looks real. They're choking the shit out of each other and chopping the shit out of each other.
Yep.
It's like real aggression, and the crowd was like pissed. Like people are screaming and pointing and middle fingers, and I was just thinking, like, you don't really get that kind of energy anymore ever.
Yeah, it's not the same. I mean, there towards the end of the match, I won't skip over the middle, but just wanted to point out towards the end of the match, there's some interference and somebody comes down and they try to grab a chair. There's an audience member who's like holding on to the chair and like won't let go. And I'm like, wow, you don't see that. Like people aren't that mad that they want to intervene anymore.
Yeah.
And
people now they'll put their thumb, their boo, they'll stick their thumb out at someone with like a big smile on their face. Like, see, buddy, I'm giving you heat. Ha ha ha. I'm like, no, I mean, you got to lean into it, even in the crowd. Like, if you're gonna be pissed at someone, like, fucking give it to them. Be like me with Hulk Hogan, in that TikTok reel that went viral, over 1 million views now. You gotta give it to him, man.
Yeah, a very fun match, another back and forth match. One thing that I liked about this, because it was an I Quit match, a microphone was a part of the match, and it played a part. It created a different vibe for this match as a whole, which I thought was kind of fun. We, as modern day fans, are privy to a lot more of the conversations that happen in the ring. And, throughout the years, the amount that we hear has changed. It has ebbed and flowed. But here, in this point in time in 1989, that is a lot more audible talking during a match than people are used to. And what's more is the people in the arena were also able to hear all of that talking. So I thought it was fun. Funk is really hamming it up with the microphone, like, I'm about to pile drive him, ask him if he quits. And, he's like, he has Ric Flair up in a pile driver, and it's like, ask him. It was very funny, especially when Funk even used the microphone as a weapon. And I think JR was like, well, you're not supposed to do that. I know it's no disqualification, but geez, or like whatever he said.
Yeah, and Gordon Solie's like, well, in this situation, when your life or your career or your very existence is on the line, maybe, they're like, they don't know what to say, because they're like, yeah, it's no DQ, but don't beat each other with the microphone. Yeah. So it's kind of like they're working out some of that stuff, and they're really playing up the fact that like Terry Funk's the son of, Texas Deathmatch King. Who's his dad?
I think it's Dory Funk Sr.
Dory Funk Sr. Yeah, that sounds right. So they're like, this is not the normal kind of stuff you see in WCW or it's not a normal NWA style match, as JR said. And it did feel a little, I mean, it wasn't like ECW hardcore, but it was pretty brutal.
Yeah, they did some stuff that to a modern day fan probably is like, oh, no big deal, but they used a table. I don't think they used tables very often back then. No one went through it in the traditional way that we now know. But there was a period of time where Flair was like real fired up and doing all kinds of stuff that for the time seemed extra brutal, fighting on the outside and using tables. And
it kind of made me realize, like, because, we started seeing Flair well into his career. I mean, I guess he's already, 40 at this point?
Late 30s, yeah.
He's fucking good. I mean, I know that, oh really? Ric Flair is a good wrestler, but, like, you kind of see why he's one of the best. Like, it's just the way he puts himself into it.
He was 40, exactly.
It does look, it looks really legitimate. It's, like, really super athletic. It's just, I don't know. I can't describe it. The rest of this thing with all the tag team like jabronis the whole night was kind of. I mean, I was kind of like, this shit's kind of sucks. Like it's fine. There's some good wrestling, but like it had like a hokey feel. And then when you see like Flair and Funk come out there, you're like, this is another level. These guys are like the real fucking deal. And
it has gravitas. You can tell it feels like a main event. The crowd is very much excited as if it was a main event. And I mean, once Flair really fired up, the crowd got super hot, and he started, working the leg for the figure four, and Funk tried to, delay it as much as he could, but inevitably Flair gets the figure four on Terry Funk in the middle of the ring, and before long, Terry Funk says, "I quit."
Did you know this was the same? This was only a few months after Terry Funk came out starring in the movie, what's the one with Patrick Swayze? Roadhouse. Yeah.
Nice.
So, which he was pretty badass in that. So he's a movie star at this point,
Yeah. This is also like 3 or 4 months after what did we watch? The Great American Bash, that first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Funk quits in the figure four, and as promised before the match, Funk said that if he lost, he would shake Ric Flair's hand. So Funk shakes Flair's hand, doesn't get much of a crowd reaction, a very slight, level of excitement. But then Gary Hart attacks Funk, Flair attacks Hart, then the Great Buddha shows up and attacks Flair. Then Sting shows up and saves Flair. Then Luger shows up and takes a chair and attacks Sting. It's just absolute fucking madness at the end of this show.
It's so many run-ins at this point in WCW. Yeah. This was a babyface turn for Funk.
It certainly seemed that way. Yeah.
Because his manager turns against him. He does the honorable thing, shakes the hand. So, and then as far as my understanding, this was the end, the blow-off match for Funk and Flair. So there's a lot of important moments. Even though this was TV, I think there was a lot of turning points here.
Even though there were 15 run-ins in this show, all of these run-ins did eventually play a part in setting up the card for the next big pay-per-view, which was Starrcade 89. I believe in that pay-per-view there were 2 tournaments. There was a tag team tournament with all of these tag teams that we saw interacting with each other to try and get the tag team titles. And then there was also a United States heavyweight championship tournament with Luger, Sting, Muta, somebody else as well. So it kind of makes sense, like if you know what's about to happen, that all of this crazy shit went down. But to the uninitiated and to us just watching it in a bottle, it was kind of like, yeah, a lot of run-ins. Jeez.
What were they talking about? I know we had an episode we've talked a lot about, like, Yokozuna being fake Japanese and Hulk Hogan, kind of using slurs in Japanese. I know, like, Muta's like Japanese, but why were the announcers being like, and the Japanese has got a hold of him?
Because
is that because his manager is called the Japanese, or the team is called the Japanese?
I think they were just referring to them as both being Japanese.
Like multiple people that are Japanese.
Yeah, I don't think. I forget what his manager's name was, though. Hold on.
But they kept saying that. And now, and the Japanese have got a hold of them. The Japanese is in the solar plexus by the Japanese. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, it's funny. So
don't forget that after all of the chaos, after all of the interference and run-ins, Luger is walking down the aisle with a steel chair, and he sees those beautiful, magnificent 3 feet tall trophies that Sting and Ric Flair won from the voting of the fans for the best wrestlers, and Luger destroys them with the chair. Pretty funny. Just seemed like a petulant child at the end there, but I guess that's how you get heat.
I like to see, like, even when dumb shit happens, like those trophies being awarded, at least they tied it. At least they wrapped it up. At least there was a reason they were there. It gave Luger something to do or something to break. So
yeah. I think it probably goes without saying that most people love planting and paying things off, in wrestling, especially in movies and books, everything.
So now it's time for the grapple grade, where we rate the episode by fast forward, which is the lowest rating it could possibly have, play, which means thumbs up, and rewind, which means watch it over again, double thumbs up. What do you think? Aaron? What are you giving this one? Fast forward, play, or rewind?
I'll give this one a play. I think it's got some fun stuff. The Ric Flair versus Terry Funk match is definitely the best match of the whole show, but it's again, fun to see some of the people that we don't see a lot. Flying Brian Pillman. I got to see the Midnight Express, which I don't think we have seen yet in any of the shows that we watched. So got to see the Road Warriors. It was fun. Is it life-changing? No. Is it the worst thing you've ever seen? No. It's pretty firmly in the middle. So I would say hit the play button if you're interested.
Yeah, I think that world title match was amazing. And it may have been the best match. I don't know. Maybe it's because I just watched it, but it feels like it's the best match I've watched so far while we've been doing this podcast. The rest of this was just kind of 80s into the 90s, like wacky wrestling spectacle, which I love. But I mean, you could kind of just find that in this era on any old thing. So,
yeah.
So, I mean, too many tag matches, lots of stuff that felt repetitive, but one hell of a match at the end. So I'll give it. So I'm going to give it the play rating as well.
Sweet.
And now let's get into some emails, calls, correspondence. Let me pull up what we've got here. All right, we got Nick in New Haven, Michigan. He wrote in. He asked us, "Can you please cover Royal Rumble 1991 for me? I'm going to listen to your podcast for a long, long time." And Nick, I did write him back, but I do like the idea of watching all the Royal Rumbles. And 91 sounds interesting. We'll probably have some Sergeant Slaughter, probably some Hulk Hogan. Ugh.
And you fucking suck Hulk Hogan ass.
But no, it's a good era. I also want to watch 92 Royal Rumble because that was the Ric Flair wire to wire one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that would be cool. I appreciate you writing in. And my friend Marcus stopped by my shop the other day to tell me in person. He didn't write in. He just stopped by and said he was at WrestleMania 9, the one we covered last week and kind of shit all over. And he was like, dude, if you were there, it was fucking fun. If you were a kid and you were in Vegas outside at this WrestleMania, he's like, all those characters, he's like, it was just like the coolest shit.
I believe it.
And
I believe it. Doesn't change how I feel about it in the vacuum that I watched it, but I believe him. We didn't talk about this before we hit record, but I did watch the Peacock documentary that they put out about WrestleMania 9 like yesterday. I watched it.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, especially because we just covered it, and the documentary really makes it seem like it's this fantastic, amazing thing. And I guess the way that they framed it, which did make sense to me, was that this was the first time that WrestleMania was really a spectacle where like it had all this over the top, lavish entertainment type stuff. And that if they hadn't done this, that who knows, if they would have gotten to the kind of entertainment that they do today. So I understood that point, and I was like, okay, I'll concede that, like, if you look at it like that, the fact that they were able to do this, like, as a production entity and make it go off without a hitch, like, that was cool. The content, looking back on it, is stupid. But
so they don't.
Fun.
In the documentary, they don't admit that it was kind of a shit show and like it was booked poorly. I mean, you think like nowadays it's been long enough with the Dark Side of the Ring and like everyone talking about like sort of the turmoil of different situations and wrestling, like you'd think there'd be someone that'd be like, fuck dude, like nobody knew what the hell was going on, but that's not the case, right?
Yeah, they created drama in some instances. They had Taker talk about the match with Giant Gonzalez, and he pretty much maintains the same, stance that he's had, which is like, this wasn't very good. And then, the other interesting thing, they did talk about Hulk's injury and how people thought that it was Macho Man. But then, Hulk gives his big long-winded explanation of, well, I was on the jet ski and this and that, and I flew over and the jet ski hit me right in the face. And Brutus Beefcake backs him up in interview saying like, yeah, it was crazy that happened. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, but I mean, Brutus just has been on his dick the whole time. That's the only way Brutus ever got a job, was just following around Hulk Hogan.
So, they did that. And then the other interesting thing was they managed to make Bret Hart look fucking old and grumpy again, because according to him, he didn't know that Hogan was coming back until the Friday right before WrestleMania. And that same day was also when he found out that he'd be dropping it to Yoko, and then Hogan would be picking it up right after. And Bret was not happy with either of those things. And I can't say that I blame him, because, you know, he even said, I asked Vince, are you unhappy with the work that I've been doing? And Vince's response was, no, we're just looking for a change in direction, which, if you know anything about what was happening at that time, is a lie, because the truth is that when Hogan left, and they talk about this in the documentary too, when Hogan left, they stopped making as much money. They didn't sell places out as much. You know, they were trying to get the new guys over and to start the company over with the Bret Harts, the Shawn Michaels, the Undertakers, the Razor Ramones, the Crushes, the Tatankas. And it just wasn't working in the same way that Hogan was. You know, they even mentioned that when the tickets were announced for WrestleMania 9, after the first weekend, they had only sold 3,000 or something, you know, out of the 16 plus that they were trying to sell. And so they eventually got Hogan on the card, and boink, they sold out.
All right. So next week's episode, I think we need to, it's been a lot of WWE. It's WrestleMania season. It'll be over, culminated by the time we get back at you. So I think a little palate cleanse is in order. We're going to go kind of anti-WWE, even though they fucking own it now, and get into ECW's very first pay-per-view, which is called Barely Legal. It's from 1997. ECW was kind of known as a bingo hall promotion back then, with too much blood and barbed wire, and it was hard for them, from my understanding, to get into the pay-per-view sphere, and they did, with Taz and Sabu colliding. Terry Funk's in this one. Paul Heyman is there to prove that he's in it to win it. Extreme isn't just a gimmick. You know, he's the new guy in town. It's a revolution.
Hell yeah.
And it's unhinged, from what I hear. I have not seen it. I've only read about it. So next episode we'll do ECW Barely Legal 97, if you want to watch along. And if you have thoughts on that pay-per-view, or if you have thoughts on Clash of the Champions 9, if you agree with us or disagree, or you want to cut a promo on us, 626-657-SLAM.
Pick up the phone.
And you can leave a message on our Google Voice line. We will maybe roast you, or maybe we'll cry, or maybe we'll...
I'll cry.
You know,
I have a very sensitive soul. Don't hurt me, please.
But either way, we will play it on the show.
Yeah.
And find us on social media at Grapple City Pod. As always, grapplecitypod.com. You can always find our episodes there, or wherever else you listen to podcasts. And do you have any other final feelings, thoughts, or emotions, Aaron Fink?
I don't know. I don't think so, Bradley Palermo. I enjoyed this episode, and I'm excited for WrestleMania. And yeah, I'm an ECW fan. I was too young to watch it when it was happening, but I became a posthumous fan. So I'm stoked for ECW Barely Legal 1997.
Fuck yeah, let's do it. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.